today has interpretation in Arabic, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. Please select your language of preference at the bottom of the screen. The globe sign, you have it on the bottom of the screen. When you are not listening to a particular language, please listen to the option Original Audio for the best sound quality. Participants are kindly invited to use the chat function, also available on the bottom of your screen, or if you can't see it, then you click on the three dots and from there you can open the chat function to seek support should they encounter any technical problems. So the chat function for technical problems. Participants are kindly requested to submit questions to the speakers through the Q&A function, also on the bottom of the screen, and we will take the questions after the two presentations. If we will not have enough time to address all questions, the Convention Secretariat will stand ready to answer any additional questions by email. So let us now start the official program of the session. On behalf of the Convention Secretariat, I would like to welcome you to this information session on the 2023 Protocol Reporting Cycle. My name is Dr. Tibor Szilágyi, and I'm the Coordinator for Reporting and Knowledge Management in the Convention Secretariat. Today's information session will include two presentations, one from Mr. Mohamed Eteshamul Hop, Technical Officer at the Convention Secretariat in the Reporting and Knowledge Management team, and he will cover the reporting process, the reporting instrument, the resources related to reporting. And the second presentation, which I myself will give, will be about the use of the online reporting platform. We will take questions after the two presentations, but you are welcome to insert your questions in the Q&A function at any time during the webinar, and we will take the questions from there. So you will not be able to pose your questions live. You will just insert your questions in the Q&A function, please. Now, without further ado, we shall move to the first presentation. So the title of the first presentation is Reporting under the Protocol to Eliminate Illicit Trade in Tobacco Products in 2023. And I would like to ask my colleague, Eteshamul Hop, Technical Officer at the Convention Secretariat, to deliver this presentation. Etesham, you have the floor. We can't hear you, Etesham.
Thanks, Tibor, for the introduction. I hope slides are now seen. Yeah. Okay, thanks. As Tibor said, I will now introduce the parties' reporting obligations under the Protocol to Eliminate Illicit Trade in Tobacco Products, 2023 reporting cycle, and the processes, how to submit report, etc. So what shall we discuss this morning? First, just a brief summary of Article 32 of the Protocol and the obligation to report. Then I'll cover the reporting process and reporting in the 2023 cycle. We shall then review the content of the protocol questionnaire and updates to the 2023 questionnaire. And I'll finish my presentation with a discussion of where you may find more information about the reporting instrument and the processes. We briefly remind you that, like Article 21 of the FCTC, Article 32 of the Protocol on Reporting and Exchange of Information states the submission of periodic report to the meeting of the parties are obligatory. The content and the format of the report need to be determined by the MOP. So MOP in its first session decided that parties will submit their reports on biennial basis, and the reporting cycle will be inconsistent with that of FCTC. So what will parties report? The article continues that parties are required to report information on legislative, executive, administrative, and other measures taken to implement the protocol, information on any constraints or barriers encountered in the implementation of the protocol and how parties overcame those, information as appropriate on financial and technical assistance provided, received, or requested for activities related to elimination of illicit trade in tobacco, and information specified in Article 28. So while mentioning contents of the reports, Article 32 refers to, as you have just seen, refers to implementation status of few measures, as well as sharing of general information under Article 20. So which includes details of seizure of tobacco products, or manufacturing equipment. So seizures also need to be reported under Article 20. Import, export, transit, tax paid, and duty-free sales, and quantity or value of the production will be reported. And trends, concealment methods, modus operandi of the illicit consignments also need to be reported, so that one party are able to learn from experiences of the other, and also may be able to strengthen their own risk profile and criteria in their fights against illicit trade in tobacco. So what does this reporting process look like? This slide shows the reporting process. The reporting cycle begins usually from 1st January and ends on 31st of March. So during that time, you'll be able to submit your reports. So on this slide, the actions of the parties are shown in orange, and the actions by the Convention Secretariat are shown in red. The process begins from the upper left-hand corner with the gathering of data and information to fill in the report, which party need to do. That's the first step after receiving the token from the Convention Secretariat. This information and data collection stage should begin well in advance so that parties are well prepared to submit their report. And we'll also include information in pre-filled forms, pre-filled questions, boxes from the previous year's report. So when you get the tokens on open-ended boxes, you will have pre-filled information which you submitted in your last report. The party should then complete the reporting instrument with the information collected and then submit it to the Convention Secretariat. After the report is submitted, the Secretariat will confirm the submission, and Secretariat will then review the reports and, if appropriate, send feedback to the parties. The parties will then review the feedback and make any needed revisions, and then submit the final report back to the Secretariat. The report will then be published online, as you know, on our implementation database website. And then information from the reports will also be analyzed and then compiled and published as Global Progress Report ahead of the next session of the MOP. And the Global Progress Report will also be presented to the MOP. So I'd like to go into a bit more detail about the questionnaire. It is submitted every second year, as you know. The submission deadline should be by the end of designated reporting period, but usually no later than 6 months before the next regular MOP session. So since we have MOP in November, we'll ask parties to submit their reports by end of March. The reporting instrument itself is available in all 6 UN languages, and you know which languages they are: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. Most responses are pre-filled, as I said, from the previous report submission. And there are a total of over 200 questions this year. As previously stated, all questions are mandatory and all reports are analyzed, and the information is then used to produce Global Progress Report. So I partially covered this already. And then just on the information in red, for some parties, the report will not be pre-filled, since some of the parties we have, they became parties to the protocol since the last reporting cycle. So we have Paraguay, Republic of Moldova, Ghana, Greece, Egypt, Hungary, Kenya, Netherlands, and Seychelles. So welcome to the protocol family again. And these parties will be submitting their reports for the first time. So for them, the information will not be pre-filled. And if the party did not submit the report in the last cycle, they will also not have pre-filled answers in the boxes. So let's discuss a little bit of content of the questionnaire, which is actually content of the protocol provisions. On the first part, you will have origin of report, which will consist of name of the party and some information of the party, and then some information on the focal point, who is submitting the report. And then relevant bilateral or multilateral agreements as per Article 2. And then general obligations, which is in Article 5 on protection of personal data. And then important part will be, very important part will be supply chain control from Article 5 to 13. As you know, there'll be a number of questions on licensing, due diligence, tracking and tracing, record keeping, security issues, online sales, free zones, and duty-free sales. And then next part will be on offenses, which will be from Article 14 to 19. So questions will be on unlawful conduct, liability, prosecutions and sanctions, seizure payments, disposal or destruction, and investment. And then international cooperation, questions will be on general and enforcement information sharing, assistance and cooperation, mutual administrative assistance, and legal assistance. And finally, a few questions will be on your priorities, implementing the protocol, the challenges and barriers you have faced in the last 2 years, and some suggestions regarding implementation of the protocol, and also suggestions on how we can improve reporting instrument and reporting procedure. That will also be asked. So what are the changes to the questionnaire this year? So as some of you may have heard, there will be a lot of changes in the next cycle. So this cycle, we kept changes very limited, which are extremely urgent. We only added those. So open-ended questions on progress since the last report will no longer be, you have pre-filled information there. And parties are encouraged to update progresses. So progress related information will not be pre-filled. So if there is any progress in the last 2 years, when appropriate, you need to add those on the questionnaire. We added a box called not available, not applicable, since one of the parties mentioned that responding to a few questions under this section, neither yes or no is the best answer. For example, do you have a licensing system for manufacture of tobacco product? If the party is not a tobacco grower, he might use not applicable instead of yes or no. And then few other questions in D110, frequency of payment of license fees. This time we'll provide a drop-down list. So if license fees are paid once in a lifetime, once a year, twice a year, etc. So a drop-down menu will be there. A question will be on details of sanction to be provided. If confiscated tobacco products are destroyed in your jurisdiction, and if the destruction, use of destruction is environmentally friendly or not, so that will be added. And if names and details of the competent authority have been shared with the Convention Secretariat, that was not there in the last time. So it's about Article 29.6. So we'll ask that whether name and details of the competent authority is shared with the Convention Secretariat or not. Finally, I'd like to point out where additional information and help may be found about reporting. You will find step-by-step instructions for the completion of the questionnaire that will be online on FCTC website. And we encourage you to use that. It will be really, really useful when you submit your questionnaire. So you can use that. And it's quite a detailed instructions out there. And there is also a question and answer section on reporting. So let's see why you will find these information. So if you open the FCTC website, if you click protocol, you will have reporting instrument. And then when you click reporting instrument, you will find the protocol questionnaire, step-by-step instructions. The questionnaire here is actually a PDF copy. That's only for your reference. So it's not something you will use for submission. You'll of course use for your reference for, getting the questions at your hand easily, but still you need to use the reporting instrument, use the token and submit your answers online. And with that, I'd like to finish this presentation. Shown here is the link of our reporting web page, which if you click, you'll get all the information and contact email for further questions on reporting. So I'll end here. And if you have questions, as Tibor said, after both presentations, we shall take questions, and Tibor and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Etesham, for this comprehensive presentation of the reporting process, the reporting instrument, and the changes made to the reporting instrument for the 2023 reporting cycle. As we all know, the protocol is a relatively young treaty. We only had one reporting cycle before this. This is the second reporting cycle of the protocol. So we kept the changes in the reporting instrument, as Etesham said, to a minimum, but at the same time responding to the requests of the parties in relation to their experience with using the reporting instrument of the protocol in the previous reporting cycle. So thank you for this presentation, Etesham, and we will be taking questions, we will be responding to questions at the end of the two presentations. I would like to kindly request participants to insert their questions in the Q&A box on the bottom of the screen, and we will take those questions at the end of the seminar. So now I would like to simply go to the second presentation, which I will give, and that presentation will be on the use of the reporting platform. And as part of my presentation, I will also give you a small, let's say, demonstration of the reporting platform. So I'm sharing my screen now, and hopefully you can see the presentation. I put it in the full slide mode. So this is about the online reporting platform of the protocol. As Etesham explained, the reports of the parties to the protocol will need to be submitted through an online reporting platform. So it's not about completing a Word document or completing a PDF. No, it's done through the online reporting platform, which was prepared for this purpose. And by the way, for the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, we have a similar survey in the same platform. So this is information about the online system that will take your responses. So the online questionnaire is designed in data form. Data form is a name of the Lime survey application that was slightly amended by WHO colleagues to make them utilizable by different WHO units, and we are using the same platform. So that's a WHO version of Lime survey. And by the way, you might have the opportunity to complete Lime surveys for other data collection occasions. This is an open sourced online statistical survey web application. So it's an amended version of Lime survey. It is available in 5 official languages. Of course, we will have Chinese once China joins the protocol, but currently they are not yet parties to the protocol. But we have questionnaires available in all languages in which we have parties to the protocol. So this always depends to the languages, the national languages in the parties that have ratified the protocol. So those parties that do not have one of the official UN languages as their national language are kindly requested to use one of the 5 official UN languages for which questionnaires are available. The questionnaire best works in Google Chrome. It works with other browsers as well, but the best experience, best working experience with a questionnaire is in the Google Chrome, and this is why this is the recommended browser for the parties when they complete their reporting instrument. And as Etesham indicated, the questionnaires for those parties that have already provided one implementation report is pre-filled. So you will get back your previous responses. And those parties that have already submitted a report are kindly invited to update their responses, including the yes and no questions and the open-ended questions as well. As Etesham also mentioned, we removed your responses from the open-ended questions on the progress made. And why is that? Because we would like to hear from you the latest updates, the latest progress that has happened since the submission of your previous reports. Of course, for those parties that will report for the first time, the questionnaire will not be pre-filled, so you will need to start completing your report from scratch. So you will get an empty report form. You will need to access the online questionnaire through a link that you receive from the Convention Secretariat. This is what we usually call a token, and I will show you in a few minutes how that token looks like and where you should look for it. So one token is provided to one party. This is very important to understand because here I would like to also make 2 points. One, it is important that the Convention Secretariat has an updated list of those party technical focal points whom you wish that this link is being sent. It is very important that we have an updated name and email address of the focal point to which this token will be sent. If we don't have an email address from the party, or we don't have a good email address, it was communicated to the Secretariat which is wrong, so it doesn't work and we get a bounce back. Of course, we will make every effort to contact the party and tell them that we get a bounce back from the email address they provided. But it's also very important for you to know that that we need updated names and email addresses of the focal points to which you would like to have the link to the questionnaire sent. The other point which I would like to make is that the link which is sent to the focal point can be shared afterwards with other colleagues whom you feel appropriate. So the link is for the party. It can be used by multiple persons, but there was a question on that in the FCTC webinar for the same purpose. That link cannot be used at the same time by 2 different persons. So only one person at one time can access the questionnaire. This is very important because the questionnaire is not in SharePoint, for example, where you can have access to the same document by multiple people at the same time. Dataform is in a secured platform on the WHO server, and only one person at a time can access the questionnaire. But in different times, you can have multiple colleagues who could complete different parts of the questionnaire. So this is very important. One token, one party, and we need a good and working email address to which the token or the link to the questionnaire is sent. As Erajan explained, that we will have a designated reporting cycle in 2023, and we have already communicated that to parties in May in a note verbal, and a new note verbal about the designation of the reporting cycle, and some more details about reporting under the protocol will be sent to you next week. I understand from colleagues from the governance team that the note verbal is just being translated into all required official UN languages, and the note verbal should reach you next week. We will also send copies of the note verbals to the technical focal points that is registered with the Convention Secretariat. So in addition to the official channels through which you officially get such note verbals, we will also send this information directly by email to the technical focal points. So this having said about the online questionnaire, I would like to give you a few tips for completion, and after me giving the tips, I will also show you the reporting instrument itself. So in the bottom of each page, I mean at the end of each section of the reporting instrument, you will have all these different buttons. So if we start from the left-hand side, there is a button which is called Previous. Here, if you click on this button, then you will go back to the previous section of the reporting instrument. So this is the back button, in fact, which leads you back to the previous section of the reporting instrument. Below that, on the bottom, you have a Resume Later button, which is, in fact, a Save button. So I suggest that you click on this Resume Later button as often as possible so that all your responses are saved in the system. And Resume Later also means, as it also suggests, that you don't need to complete your reporting instrument in one go. You might complete parts of it, you might do your other works, and you might come back at a later stage and continue. This will also allow that other colleagues whom you share the link to the reporting instrument with can chip in, and they can also complete some parts of the reporting instrument. So the Resume Later button is very useful just to save the responses often. So if you have some problems with your internet connection, or say electricity goes out, so then you have always the responses saved. The responses are saved automatically by the system as well, but it's always good to reinforce that message by clicking on the Resume Later button. In the middle, on the bottom of the screen, you will have the question index, which provides you the content of the reporting instrument. So you will have direct access to different parts of the reporting instrument. You don't need to step to the next sections one by one, but you can jump to the different sections of the reporting instrument by clicking or selecting your sections of choice in the questions index. And finally, on the right-hand side, you will have the next button, which is the opposite of previous. So it will help you to go to the next section of the reporting instrument. And we have a surprise for you, which I will show in the live demonstration as well. You will have a print functionality at the bottom of each section, which will ease your work in let's say, recording what you have already completed during the process. Now, how to submit the report? On the last page of the report, instead of next, you will have a submit button. And when you click on this submit button, there will be a pop-up window coming up, which will indicate that you have now submitted your reporting instrument. And there you will also have the opportunity to print all your answers that you inserted in the reporting instrument. So this is about print, because this was an important, let's say, comment we received from the parties after the first reporting cycle, that there should be opportunities and more opportunities for printing, downloading a PDF copy of your report during the preparation of the report and after preparation of the report. The print and download function is the same, because the print function will also provide you the opportunity to create a PDF version of your report. So you will have multiple opportunities now to print or download your reports. So this is what I wanted to show you in a presentation form about the reporting instrument. And now I will share you two other things. One, the email which you will be receiving from the Convention Secretariat with a link to the reporting instrument. And then I would like to show you the reporting instrument itself. So first, let me share with you the email message which you will be receiving from the Convention Secretariat. Just a show of hands from a colleague of mine, Etesham. Can you see the email, please?
Yes, I can, Tibor.
Okay, thank you very much. So you will see, you see here that in the subject you will have 2023 reporting cycle under the protocol, and the email address will come either from my name or from the name of one of my colleagues. But what is important, that the email will come from the mopreporting@who.int mailbox. This is the generic mailbox from which we are communicating to parties to the protocol about reporting. And also we will receive automatic notifications from the system when a party submitted their reports. So this MOP reporting mailbox was specifically designated to get any information related to reporting under the protocol. Also, if you have any problems, if you have any questions related to the use of the protocol reporting instrument, please contact us through this generic email address, mopreporting@who.int. And we created a dummy survey for myself. So this will be the content of the email. And here in the middle of the email, you will have a link. This is the link to your country's reporting instrument. This instrument has a number code, which is specific to your party. And no other party will have access to your reporting instrument. Just the person who's receiving this link, or who this link is shared with by the party. So this link is unique, and it should not therefore be shared with another party, for example, because then they will be able to interfere with your reporting process. So that token is unique, and when you click on that token, you will get to the reporting instrument itself. Etesham, could you see the reporting instrument now?
Not yet, Tibor.
Not yet. Okay. No. Then I will take down the sharing of the email, and I'll put up the sharing of the reporting instrument. So this is the page you will see when you click on that link. you will see the reporting instrument itself. In fact, the first page of the reporting instrument. In my case, you see that it's not completed because it was created specifically for me. So this will be the first page, and the first section of the instrument is the origin of the report. Here you will see the language options to the reporting instrument, and you will be able to change the language of the instrument here to your language of preference. By the way, if I make one step back, your email, which you will receive with a link, is based on the official language of the country. So you will get your email in the official language, which you communicated already to WHO. We will check the WHO contact management system on what is the official language of the party, and you will get your email in that official language. But then when you go to the report form, you will be able to choose your language of preference for the reporting instrument. So this is, as I said, the first page. You will need to complete accordingly the questions in this first section of the reporting instrument. And then I go back to the bottom of the page, and I would like to demonstrate you two things here. First, the period of reporting, and the other one is the functionalities at the bottom of the page. The period of reporting, so question A4, the period of reporting is not the reporting cycle of the protocol. It is the period you are covering in your report. So as a preference, we would prefer that each party covers the period that has elapsed since the submission of your previous report. So, for example, if in your previous report you covered everything until December 2019, then this time you will choose, let's say, January 2020 as a start date of the information that you include in your report. And you can also choose an end date. For example, you can choose December 2022 as the end of the period to which your report refers to. And then in the next report, which you will be submitting later, you will start from where you stopped in this reporting instrument. So period of reporting is not a January to March 2023, is the period which you cover with the information you report. For those parties that have not yet submitted an official report, they can choose whatever. You can go back to up to 2010, but you can certainly include any information you have, because your first report will be the baseline information for any comparison of later, let's say, achievements under the protocol. So this is the period of reporting, and I wanted to cover that because there's usually a question about that. And then on the bottom of the page, you have all those buttons which I already showed you and explained. The question index, as I said, will provide you the link, direct link to the different parts of the reporting instrument. So you'll be able to go directly to different other sections and then come back to the original section. So it allows you to jump between the different sections of the reporting instrument. And what is new, what will be new this year is the print button. So the print button will be installed in every single section of the instrument. So you will be able to print even parts of your report when you completed them. So this is how, through the question index, you will be able to go to different pages of the reporting instrument. So, for example, I jumped directly to Article 13 of the protocol. So it's easy to go from section to section. Now, what I would like to demonstrate still is the last page of the reporting instrument is, as Etesham explained, is about priorities and comments. This is very important information, which we would like to get from the parties in relation to their priorities for the implementation of the protocol. So what are your current priorities in the implementation of the protocol? What are your next steps which you are going to take? What are your most current programs related to the implementation of the protocol, and so on? And then another question will cover the constraints and barriers in relation to implementation of the protocol. And of course, you can also provide any other information that is not covered elsewhere in the reporting instrument. And finally, the last question is always about your comments on the use of the reporting instrument. So if you would like to make any suggestions on the improvement of the reporting instrument, on the operation of the reporting instrument, on your experience with the reporting instrument, then please insert it in your response to the last question. And Etesham explained, and you might already know, that we will be making a proposal to the third session of the meeting of the parties on some updates of the protocol reporting instrument. And we could certainly use your suggestions during that process. As I also explained on the last page, we will have the submit button instead of next. And if I click on submit, then I use this token. And if you clicked on the submit button, you will not be able to come back instantly to your reporting instrument. But if you submitted your instrument by mistake, or you didn't mind submitting it yet, but clicked on it by mistake, you can just contact the Convention Secretariat. You can contact us by email, you can call us, and we can reopen the file for you. But once you submitted it, we consider it is closed for this reporting cycle. But the process is not closed, because Etesham explained that we will provide you a feedback on the content of your submission. We will have a quick look. We will browse through your answers. And if we see something which might need to be corrected before the analysis of the data you provided, then we will get back to you and we will provide you feedback. And if something needs to be changed, then we will reopen that questionnaire for you. So once you submitted your reporting instrument, then only the Secretariat will be able to reopen that for you, but we can do that. So it's not a problem. What I would like to also mention, and that also relates to the email which I showed you, that email will be the first one which you will receive, and I will explain you in the closure when you will actually receive that. But you will get automatic reminders from the system. The system will be programmed to provide automatic reminders to those parties that have not yet submitted their report. Once you submitted it, you will not get more reminders, but before submission, you will get a regular reminder. Every 1 week, every 2 weeks, you will get a reminder. Please just disregard them if you are working on it. Please don't get angry with the system. This is an automatized process. and you will get that reminder on a regular basis. So I'm submitting now my report. No, I will not, because it says that one or more mandatory questions have not been answered. And those mandatory questions, the system goes back to the mandatory questions which I have not completed. So I will now complete that mandatory question. I think it was just the country name, which I have not commented. So let me try to submit now. There are others. So anyway, I will not show you the pop-up window which comes up, but in that pop-up window we will recognize that you submitted your implementation report, and there you will have a print functionality as well. So you will be able to print your report what you submitted, and it's advisable that you print that report, since you can keep it for your own reports, and you can even take a screenshot of that page that you submitted your report, and you can keep it together with your print version of the report. We can certainly help you if you missed it or you would like to have a print copy of it. After submission, we have access to the database that stores the submitted reports, and we will be able to send a copy of your report back to you. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate in relation to the reporting instrument, and this is how it will work. One more thing which I would like to mention before we go to the questions and answers is that yes, indeed, you will need to complete your report and comply with reporting obligations by completing the online report form. But the questions of the reporting instrument, the order of the questions, the list of questions, and the questions themselves could be found on our normal and on a regular web page under the link which Eteshan provided. So from there, you can get a list of the questions that need to be completed. What more, if you would like to have a Word copy of the document, a Word version of the reporting instrument, please contact the Convention Secretariat and we will send that to you. We are not publishing Word documents on our website, but we can certainly send a Word document for you. Why is good to have a Word document? Some parties prefer to send around to different ministries or colleagues a Word document in which other colleagues could complete relevant parts of the questionnaires, and they send it back to the reporting officer, who will eventually transcribe the questions and the answers in the online report form. So this is why a Word document could be useful while you do your report. So this is what I wanted to say, and thank you for your attention. Now we are waiting for your questions. I see that there are already 2 questions there, and I see one question in Arabic. I will translate that for myself. So please bear with me.
I translated already, Tibor.
Okay, then could you pose that question?
Yeah, Arabic question is, he said there is no translation in Arabic.
That one I don't know. Is now interpretation came back in Arabic? Could my colleagues check, please, if Arabic is all right now?
I don't understand. He meant interpretation in Arabic or the reporting instrument in Arabic. Reporting instrument for sure is in Arabic. I mean, it's available already.
Okay, I try to come back to the reporting instrument. Let me see if it works. Okay, I can share my screen again so that we see that the Arabic version of the questionnaire is also available. I'm back here and I'm sharing it. So I just clicked on the drop-down menu on the top of every page. You have it in fact in every page. You can change your language, and the Arabic version of the reporting instrument is already there. So if you have later, while using it, any issues with the Arabic version or any other versions of the reporting instrument, please come back to the Secretariat, inform us, and then we'll be able to help. So I'm going back to the questions and answers, and I don't see any other questions posed. So we will wait 1-2 more minutes. And while I'm waiting for the question, let me just give you some additional information on what comes next. So as I indicated, there will be a note verbal which is coming from the Secretariat on reporting under the WHO FCTC and the protocol. So there will be one note verbal combining the two reporting processes, but you will certainly use your own reporting platform. So this note verbal is currently being translated and will be dispatched very soon, hopefully next week. And once it is dispatched through official channels, we will also send a message to the technical focal points who are recorded in our system. And we have now a question. Yes. So the question is if we can make any clarifications in relation to the period of reporting for the parties that have not yet submitted one report. So for those parties, we will have an end date, certainly, and the end date you can choose. And the beginning of the period covered is that if it's your choice how far you go back. So, for example, if you have legislation that covers any aspect from the protocol and you have adopted that legislation, let's say in 2015, and you would like to cover that legislation, then you will put 2015. If it's something earlier, you can go back to up until 2010. I see this is the preset date. But even if you insert 2010 and you would like to go back even further, then in the respective open-ended questions of the reporting instrument, you will be able to explain until when you went back to for information which you completed. But certainly for the quantitative information, for example, seizure data or any other data that are quantitative, please put them the last 2 years. So you will not need to go back more than 2 years. This is what all parties do, because they will need to submit their reports covering the past 2 years if you already submitted one report. So this too could be an, let's say, indicative date to which you go back with that information. But certainly you have the flexibility under the open-ended questions to report anything you wish in relation to your implementation work. And as I explained, at the end of the reporting instrument, you have some additional, let's say, data boxes where you can even explain everything what is not included in a question in the reporting instrument. So you are free to use the reporting instrument, and it's open-ended questions flexibly. Etesham, could you help me, please, with the other Arabic question? Could you read it out, please?
I already did. So the question is, what about the country that signed the protocol but has not yet ratified it?
Only the parties that have ratified the protocol have the obligation to report. So ratification raises the obligation of reporting. So if you only signed, then you don't need to submit this official form. But certainly, if for the purposes of our knowledge in the Secretariat, and I'm speaking as coordinator of the reporting and knowledge management team, we could certainly take information from you. But one thing I would like to remind you, and this is why I really appreciate this question, because if you sign the protocol, I mean, you should be party to the WHO FCTC. WHO FCTC has Article 15 of the Convention, which is on illicit trade in tobacco products. And in the FCTC reporting instrument, there are some questions related to illicit trade in tobacco products. What more, it even collects some basic data, less detailed data on seizures and illicit trade than the protocol questionnaire, but still it has some questions related to illicit trade in tobacco products. And that is obligatory for all parties to the WHO FCTC. And this raises a point here that when you complete your reporting instrument of the protocol, you should work somehow in coordination with the reporting officer who completes the reporting instrument for the WHO FCTC, so that the information which is provided in the two reporting instruments are not completely disconnected. You might be, let's say, the person who helps the FCTC colleague to complete their report in relation to Article 15 of the Convention. So this kind of coordination is important to take place at national level when you complete the two reporting instruments, if you are a party to the FCTC and also the protocol. Etesham, there is one more question in Arabic. Could you?
Tibor, that's not a question, just a comment. Our colleague informs that they are party since 2005.
To the FCTC. Then, in the case of FCTC, you will need to also respond to a few questions related to illicit trade in tobacco products. So I will suggest that you contact in your country the FCTC focal point, or if you don't know who that person is, just contact the Secretariat and we will find it out to you, and we will send the name to you, the focal point who's recorded with the Conventional Secretariat for being the technical focal point for the WHO FCTC. But it is very important, and I would like to encourage you all, either you are a party or a non-party to the protocol, to always help and work together with the FCTC focal point to complete the illicit trade related part of the FCTC reporting instrument. So thank you very much for those questions. Those were very important points, and they reminded me to also cover this issue.
Yeah, there is one more, Tibor, which I already answered live, but other parties might have interest in this. The question is, if the answers to some of the questions have not changed from the reports of the previous sessions, do we need to repeat them? So I answered, your answers to the previous cycle will be pre-filled. That means you do not need to repeat them. However, you will be able to make changes if you wish to. The questions on the progresses under any article will not be pre-filled. So we encourage you to report on the progresses since submission of the last reporting cycle. That's all.
Thank you, Edeshan, for that. And if it was not a previous report, then certainly the progress question would need to cover your most recent, let's say, activities under a particular article to the protocol. So what are you up to in relation to Article X in the protocol? And then from the next on, you will just cover, from the next report on, you will just cover the period since the submission of your previous report. So for the first reports, you have quite a lot of flexibility, but please, if you submit your first report, then provide as much information as possible, because the aim of the reporting under an international treaty is to share experiences, to share information, to share experiences, to share your successes, to share your failures. What we used to say, to share your stories in relation to implementation of this treaty, because that's always a learning opportunity for all the parties to hear what others have done and how they have done it, so that they can learn from it. So to learn from each other's experiences, it is important that you provide as much information as possible. And the more information you provide, the richer the analysis that is submitted to the meeting of the parties and in form of global progress reports. The more information you put in your report, the richer the global progress reports will be. And the richer your discussions in the next MOP might be. So this is why it is important that parties spend some time on providing the information. And this is why we in the Secretariat also appreciate when we get a good and informative report.
One more comment from a colleague who said, because of technical glitch, unfortunately, I missed most part of your presentation. So just
okay. There will be two things. Hopefully you didn't miss anything, because we are recording this webinar in all languages for which we had interpretation. Plus, you will get the presentations through an email. So we will send you in once the recordings are cleaned, we will send them to you. We will even publish them on our YouTube page. So I'm sorry that you missed it now, but you will be able to re-watch it when you receive it. And we have the names of all registrants to this webinar. So we will send this information to them. And in addition to that, we will also send this information to all registered focal points for the protocol from our mailing list. So not only those who participated in the webinar, but also those that have missed it for various reasons, they will get both the presentations and the recordings. So, Edesham, is it correct that I don't see any other questions?
There is a few
there
more.
Is one now.
Yeah, one more. That's in Spanish and French. I'm trying to translate.
Yes. The next reporting cycle, yeah, I mean, the reporting cycles are harmonized with the MOP reporting cycles. So as MOPs happen every second year, that's why reporting cycles will be organized every second year. So what you missed to include in this report, then you will be able to include that information in your next report, which is due in 2 more years. So this is why, as I explained, you choose your end date of your period of coverage of information yourself. So if you think that you do not have full information available for 2022, then you will put, let's say, June 2022, or you will put December 2021. So you cover the period for which the full information is available. And then for the next report, 2 years later, you report everything what you haven't reported previously. So this is how it works. Since we are planning to have 2-year reporting cycles, you will have the flexibility to decide which information you put in which report. Certainly, we would like to see more complete reports, but it's good to have let's say information that is clear and accurate. So if you don't have, for example, seizure data for the full 2022, then you will cover a shorter period and you put the end date a little bit earlier.
Tibor, I can see a hand raised for some time now from Mr. Julio Silva Moura. I'm not sure whether he wants to ask a question or not.
Mr. Julio Silva Moura, could you please insert your question in the Q&A functionality? And now there is another hand raised. I would like to ask those colleagues who have questions to put them in the Q&A functionality. Please use it on the bottom of the page.
We don't have any more for the time being, and hands are also lowered.
Hands were lowered, so maybe it was just by mistake. If you have a problem in using the Q&A, could you just send us a message in the chat, and then we'll try to help you. So in the meantime, I was also checking the Q&A, and I think all questions that you have responded. Again, please use the mopreporting@who.int email address to contact us, and we can respond any questions related to reporting from that mailbox. And certainly we will be communicating with you next week on the note verbal, and hopefully by the beginning of next week we can share with you the recordings as well. I don't see any new questions in the question and answer, so I can take that there were no unanswered questions. Still, if colleagues, you would like to go back to the questions to see which ones we already responded, you can certainly do that with the Q&A box. And this brings us to the end of this webinar. And I would like to thank all participants for being with us, for their questions and comments, and we'll certainly wait for your implementation reports so that together we will be able to provide up-to-date information to the meeting of the parties at its next session, which will take place in November 2023. I would also thank the interpreters who helped us better understand each other. And I would like to thank all my colleagues who worked so hard on organizing this webinar, colleagues who who are making recordings of this session in the different language so that we can share that with the parties afterwards. And all who contributed to the organization of this webinar, including technician colleagues from WHO who made possible the use of this platform. So I thank you all, and goodbye and good day to all. This webinar is now closed.